Is this magical run for Flacco? Do you see it continuing into the postseason?
I mean, you have to wonder after all of the bad luck that Browns fans have had to endure, really since the NFL merger, right? Things were good before then, but since the NFL's merger, the Browns and the Lions have sort of been in a neck and neck race for the worst off, unluckiest team in the NFL. You have to think that's worth something if you're wondering whether their lucky streak is going to continue. And frankly, if they go on a Super Bowl run here, that might pay off all of that bad luck that every Browns fan has had to endure. But the thing is the way Joe Flacco is playing is super volatile, right? It's as if Joe Flacco's sort of been unleashed from the old Baltimore days and now he can do whatever he wants. So I think it's absolutely possible that he continues this streak, right? He's got the pieces around him. He's willing to play ball. But it's just as likely, I think, that a few plays that have gone their way in the previous games don't go their way anymore and things bottom out.
Well, I went back and I watched his past 3 games. It was the Texans game, the Jets, both of those. Flacco was unbelievable. I mean, if you go back and watch the Texans game from week 16, I think it was, I mean, he was just playing on another level. And then a week before that, when they played the Chicago Bears back in Cleveland, one of those games where Chicago's getting after Joe and making him make mistakes. And this Browns offense can be either really, really good or really bad. And you're right. Flacco takes a lot of chances. And when it pays off, it looks unbelievable. But there are times where he's forcing some throws into tight windows. And you have the risk of an interception there. And in a playoff game, we know that could change the momentum in a second. But really, the 6 of the last 8 quarters, we've seen great Joe Flacco, which, I never thought I'd be saying that sentence again. But that's why I do have a lot of faith that this isn't just a magical run at the moment. I think Flacco is actually just playing good football and fits in nicely with what the Browns want to do. As long as he doesn't make mistakes, they're going to be a tough out for anyone here. Do you see Super Bowl contender status, though, if he plays at, let's just say, an average level, given the rest of the team around him?
Super Bowl contender status is a tough sell. I think they have to be feeling pretty good that they drew the Texans. We'll talk about it more as we get into the breakdown, but the Texans, I think, are a pretty good matchup, which is why they're favorites on the road in the playoffs, despite all their injuries. But the fact is, at a certain point, the luck has to run out. And it's tough for me to see this Browns team. It's tough for me to see this Browns team going into Baltimore, going into Buffalo, beating the 49ers. Like the kinds of things you have to do to win a Super Bowl, you have to be an excellent team in every phase of the game. I'm not sure they're going to be able to keep it going that long.
I have the same opinion. Going to Baltimore is a place where I think, despite Flacco's success there and his history, if the Browns went into Baltimore, I could see that as a game where they're getting to Flacco all game, a couple interceptions, game's over rather quickly. While Houston, meanwhile, though, as I said, we just saw him go in there and light it up. I'm not expecting much different. I think Flacco's going to have a lot of success in this game here. Just one nice little story that I wanted to say about what the Browns and Flacco did is he needed to play 50% of the offensive snaps to receive a $75,000 bonus last week. And Cleveland, of course, they want to rest him heading into the playoffs. He's 38 years old. They wound up just giving that to him as a roster bonus anyway. So a little nice reward for what Flacco's done over the past few weeks. But I was just thinking, with Deshaun Watson being in Cleveland now for a couple of years, I don't think he's ever peaked at the level we've seen these Flacco peaks be over the past 5 weeks. And in many ways, we've said if Watson played to this level, people would view the Browns as a Super Bowl contender. So if you get great Joe Flacco, it's about as good as you've seen in Cleveland for a long, long time. That's why I do think that they have an outside Super Bowl chance. It is just a matter of getting someone who isn't completely trustworthy to play at a high level. But this is the most fun Cleveland sports has had, I mean, since LeBron, right? Like since LeBron won the title?
Yeah, I mean, there's been ups and downs for lots of Cleveland sports. They had that little bit of a run a few years ago of basketball. But look, if Njoku is able to keep getting 40-yard gains of Flacco, if Amari Cooper keeps putting up 150-plus yards a game, Joe Flacco will deliver the ball to people downfield. Yep. He's shown that he can do this. He will set up a great play-action game. And I mean, with their defense, 2 or 3 explosive plays that result in a touchdown drive, if you're putting up a little over 20 points a game, you can win with this Browns team, right? This is a good situation for him to be in. You just have to hope there aren't the kinds of interceptions that make the defense's life impossible.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the turnovers because you're right. They do have the weapons, and Amari Cooper is someone a lot of people forget about as being one of the better receivers in the NFL. He's not that old, Amari Cooper. He still has those 195-yard games, or what did he have? Did he have 200?
It was like 220, right?
Like I think he had like 265 yards against the Texans in their first game. But this is not a team devoid of weapons. You think about the injuries they've had this year to Chubb, to Watson. That offense has been plagued with their star players, yet there's still a lot of explosion there. And it's just, again, it's all going to come down to Flacco not turning the ball over, being safe with it, while still having a little bit of that gunslinger mentality. It'll be a lot of fun for Browns fans, hopefully.